YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of Interplanetary I Spy going on here. Back to Mars, back to Gale Crater. And for all you space detectives out there, this Sol is Sol 1408, okay? You can see the number there, 1408, quite clearly. These were taken back in 2016, so a while back now. And there's a large set of images here. There's over 400 images here, but a lot of them are really small, so you can ignore those. But there's a couple I'm going to be sort of concentrating on today, which I've got up here. There's this one, where you've got this big rock here with a weird thing sticking up behind it, and lots of other little things as well. And also this one. Now, I've shown this one before, but this is really interesting. You don't have to do anything to this image. You don't have to enlarge it or brighten it up or anything. It's really well lit. And you can clearly see here what may be part of an insect mound, like a termite mound or something similar, or perhaps even some coral that was once at the bottom of the lake, some type of coral or marine plant that has left calcified material behind, like a structure here, and you've got these holes in there. I'll show you that in close up in a minute. That's interesting, and I'll try and find a couple of comparative images to compare as well, just to clarify that. But this looks a little bit more convincing if you flip it around the other way. So we'll come back to that in a minute. The main thing I was looking at was this. Now, I looked at, this is probably about the third time I've been through this set of images. I initially did back in 2016, and I found a few things, but nothing much. But I kept looking at this thinking, that wannabe rock there, it looks very odd the way it sticks up behind this one like that. Why would it do that? Now, for some reason, I never actually took a clip of it and enlarged it and then brightened it up before. I don't know why I didn't do that. I just ignored it, and then I thought, whatever. Now I come back to it, I thought, well, let's have a closer look, because I've probably missed something here. And often you've got to go with your hunch. If you have a hunch, go with it, because often if you're a space detective, that is something interesting. All right, like any other type of detective, follow your hunches. Okay, so now I've already taken some clips of this, and I'm going to show you the meme straight away to save time, because I don't want to go through every single image here because there's too many. There we have it. It's a bit vague. It's in shadow, this part of the image. The details are there. You may not see them straight away. You've got to, if you're looking at the right-hand side of the picture here, you've got to look at it really slowly. Let your eyes adjust to the shadow. Because it's in shadow, the darker parts are only slightly darker, and the lighter parts are only slightly lighter. So there's lack of definition because of the way that the sun is shining behind it. But when you really brighten it up and add some contrast, this is what you get. What looks like a very, very odd looking statue. Really weird. What can I say? There are many other statues in the area. None of them look quite like this. It looks very much like yet another statue on Mars. Actually helps if you don't zoom right into it like that. If you look carefully, you can see in the shadow, you can see the mouth. Actually, the mouth is the clearest thing. The first thing I noticed was this mouth here. See it there. Now, when you up the contrast and brightness, this will stand out a lot more, like I've done here. But if you look carefully, you can see this kind of swirly, kind of circular eye kind of thing here. You can see it in the image, just there. It's just right there. And there's the highlighted bit there. I haven't added anything that isn't here. What I've done is push the contrast. I've added a color filter, so it's gone a bit blue, but you can see how hard I pushed it, because it's gone very reflective on top here, very bright. But you've got to really crank the brightness up with this because it's in shadow. And actually, you can see, once you know it's there, you can see that mouth, you can see an eye there. The eyes are vague, and there isn't a big nose sticking out. It's not what I would call a human nose. Yeah, and I only actually really noticed this again recently because of things that I found in the last month or so which look kind of reptilian, and they don't have noses, that, as we would call noses, that stick out. They have a very flat nasal area with what look like holes either side. Okay, so I'll see if I can find some comparative images in a minute, and I'll show you those. But there you have it. You can see it. You can see that mouth. Once you get your eyes used to it, slowly, you look carefully and slowly, you can see the detail there before anything's done. But of course, we don't always have time to look at things slowly. So the best thing to do is actually get it in your graphics processor straight away. I made this Gigapan here as well. And the best thing to do is to go in and brighten it up. You can see it a bit more clearly. But if I sharpen it here, I've got the sharpen tool here. Sometimes that's a good thing to do because that will bring out detail. There's the teeth. See the teeth? See a row of teeth there? Eye there, eye there. This one's a bit vague, but it's there. And the chin comes around under here. So it's there, but not easy to spot. And a lot of these things are difficult to find because the images are camouflaged, not only by the Martian conditions and dust and everything else that covers everything, but also by NASA's orange filter. Okay, the orange filter destroys a lot of the detail. So there are often things underneath these rocks in the shadows that you can't see very well. And if you use the sharpen tool, that will bring them out a little bit, just like that, just initially, just to see if there's anything there. You've got this, just by this large rock at the back here, we've got this thing, which to me looks very much like petrified wood here. It's got a flat top to it, just there. And then we've got a grain, a very fine grain to it in the shadow, here and here, which looks very much like petrified wood. May not be, of course, but it could be. But in amongst some of this, there is coral, and there is also petrified wood, and there may even be other things, as well as statues, like I showed you a minute ago, and maybe other things as well. So keep your mind open. Don't try and rule anything out. I never rule anything out. If you're a space detective, the first thing you need to know is never rule anything out, because you don't know what was there before, and in many cases we don't even really know what's there now. So you've got to keep your mind open and keep your eyes peeled. I thought this was really weird. Let's sharpen that up. You've got this triangular thing sticking out of it. Now initially to me this looked a bit like a helmet, and this was like where the nose and mouth would go, but I don't think it is now. I don't know what it is, but it's got this weird thing sticking out. I've done an enhancement of that. I'll show you that in a minute. That was weird. But I do think some of these things are actually coral, and some of these larger structures and big kind of weird complex looking objects like this, maybe broken coral or even broken parts of termite mounds. Now, I have shown what looks like a very large insect on Mars recently, so if you look at go back in my videos about a month or two, you'll find that. In that video, there's an insect on what looks like an old termite mound, and it's kind of sticking up, much larger than this. It's really large, and the insect itself, if it is one, is probably about, the visible part of it is about 6 inches long, and we're only seeing less than half of the insect, so it may be up to a foot long, like a very large termite type creature. So what I'll do, I'll rather than go through everything we've got here, I will show you some clips in a minute of all the close-ups I've done of the main things I've found, but I'm sure there are many, many more that I haven't highlighted, and I'll leave that up to some of you to go through, and please read the description for more information. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.